inside your blood, you have all these surging hormones and things are like wonky donkey. And you know what? You're not going to get a doctor probably running a 4 hormone panel postpartum breastfeeding. They're going to wait solidly till you're done breastfeeding by at least 4 months, from what I'm gathering from other clients. They won't touch it, including your thyroid, FYI. However, when it comes to the HTMA, remember, this is cellular level. So regardless, I want to see where minerals are, right? Because why wouldn't we want to see these minerals, which are through foods, and that's how we look at it. So what minerals can we offer to a client to boost up those nutrients?
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of your acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director in the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie so we can dive deep into your acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence.
We are back with part 2 of Ask Your Nutritionists. Your questions answered. Well, ask the nutritionist, your questions answered. So we brought Paige back. I know she's so excited to be here again today. She's going to be sweating. You wore a sweater, Paige. You were sweating in a t-shirt last week.
I know, I'm already hot.
She's already already needing to change her shirt. So she's unzipped. She unzips. So
she unzips that like 30 seconds in.
And Paige, did you look up who Vanna White is when we had talked about that last week?
Oh no, I forgot.
Yeah, like you know that she's at the tail end of the millennials one. She doesn't know who Vanna White is. So she is here today to facilitate the question asking. And today our rundown of questions are going to be a little bit more specific than last week's general questions. So we're going to be talking about digestion, really specific hormone questions, testing questions that Chris is like fired up about talking about. I'm obviously going to do the skincare component because that's not Chris's wheelhouse. And then we have like kind of a group of like miscellaneous questions that we'll talk about at the end. So we got a good slew of them. So let's get started, Paige. Read off your first one.
Okay, great. We're going to start with the digestive. So Chris, it's going to be for you. Mm-hmm. Why does water give you digestive pain first thing in the morning?
Ooh, goody. All right, so water, and when we talk digestive pain, I'm going to go probably more stomach-like. So
like stomach aches.
Stomach like aches, crampy, kind of like that kind of stuff, you know, where the rib cage separates. So it can be temperature of your water. Is it too cold? If we are not in a climate where it is like 80 degrees Fahrenheit all the time, remember your water temperature is going to be different than in the summer water temperature. So that could be one. 2, the quality of the water. What are we drinking? Do we have a water softener? Do we have well water? Like all of these different things can be interconnected with that. What's the other one? Oh, what about drinking too much too fast? Because those are probably the biggest in common. And what I mean drinking too much too fast is I always have water at my bedside table because I do start with water first thing in the morning. But what I'll do is I'll bring it with me to the bathroom and I'm like, girl, you got to be done that by the time you leave here.
But
so
I like to brush my teeth before I even drink water because of that connection between the oral microbiome and your gut dysbiosis.
Mm-hmm. Well, FYI, I got to take meds. So down the hatchet she goes.
Down the hatch. This is where Chris and I have our differences in our 80-20 approach.
Right. So again, depends, but no, that's good, right? I have to take pharmaceuticals. So if I wake up at 5, I'm going to take it because I like to give it at least an hour so that I'm not compromising. So I do that. For the other people on the no pharmaceuticals, yeah, for sure. Brush your teeth, please. Love that, right? Tongue scrape, whatever it is. That's
and we'll talk about that later in our miscellaneous questions. There's a dental health question.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so please just watch how fast you're trying to push it, the temperature and the quality of your water. That's kind of where I would hold.
Awesome.
Next
cool.
up.
Well, Chris, I'm going to shoot this one at you too.
Jeez.
I have stomach issues. Who should I see? My colonoscopy was good.
Well, I'm available.
We're here.
I don't think
Skin
Katie's
Solution.
doing anything this afternoon.
I'm free.
If you have stomach issues, again, let's isolate where the stomach is. Rib cage separates, because often I see this, even when I teach this at the Canadian School for Natural Nutrition, people, if you ask them where their stomach is, they're going to go around their belly button. So true not. So if we have stomach issues, and because you did the word stomach and colonoscopy, I'm going to go lower gastrointestinal. That's what kind of drives me to that. Then I'm going to say 1, nutrition, 2, stress, sleep, water, fiber, you name it, all hangs in here. Your colonoscopy, oh my gosh, Katie, what? Even Paige, right? Like, you see the stats, 99% of the people have a fantastic colonoscopy, yet have raging diarrhea, have a constipation, have all these issues, have acne, psoriasis, eczema, celiac. So if you have a fantastic colonoscopy, you have to work on your gut microbiome, the bacteria in your gut, shifting it. We have to work on how we are getting circulation and how we're absorbing the nutrients. Then the stomach issues, which are not stomach, they're lower GI, they tend to dissipate. And I'm going to guess that you have gas and bloating. And if you have anything like GERD, acid reflux, to kind of, like I always say, like accomplice, like they go hand in hand, then watch out. We could be looking at small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So again, not always caught on a colonoscopy.
And what about things like a low stomach acid, right? Like if you're dealing with low stomach acid, low enzyme function, that's really going to be impacting your stomach issues, leading to bloat, constipation, diarrhea, all of those different things.
Eating in a rush,
like
as a free one.
There is so many things that still could be going on if your colonoscopy was good. Next.
Yep.
That was a good one.
Next. Yeah. Okay. Next, I'm going to give it to you, Katie. How to cure chronic bloating when not having gut disorders?
Well, if you have chronic bloat, you have a gut issue, like 110%. There is no other way around it. Chronic bloating, like we need to be looking at, are you dealing with low stomach acid? Like you don't have enough stomach acid, again, to be breaking your food down. The low enzyme function, you're not having, your enzymes aren't doing a good job of breaking your food down. Are you dealing with a candida overgrowth? Like have you done a stool test to see if there is a candida overgrowth afoot? Have you done a SIBO breath test to see if there's a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? Really looking at your microbiome. Are you dealing with a leaky gut, where it's that intestinal permeability and it's allowing the undigested food particles to like seep into the body and create all of this inflammation? So when we're looking at that chronic bloat, we have to be looking at, okay, well, why is that chronic bloat happening and when is it happening? So this is where food journaling can be really, really helpful, where, you spend a week or two writing what you're eating, right? You write the times, what you're eating, and then write how you're feeling before and afterwards. And then you're going to be able to see is like, okay, is it happening an hour after mealtime when my food's starting to digest? Is it happening every time I eat this specific food, like raw broccoli? We have to be looking at, is there a specific food causing it? Is it that you're not breaking the food down well enough? Is that you're dealing with overgrowth of yeast or bacteria? All of these things need to be considered. Of course, there can be issues with, say estrogen, because like estrogen can be related to bloat as well. But again, estrogen is related to your stomach, because if your gut dysbiosis is off, then you're in your gut, you have that unique subset of microbes called your estrobolome, which is responsible for estrogen metabolism and regulation. So it all leads back to the gut. So long story short, if you have chronic bloat, you have gut issues.
This question reminds me of me 7+ years ago. I have a very vivid memory, and I tell this story to a lot of women I talk to on a daily basis. You're sitting at your mom's kitchen table, and you were going through I think you were still
in school,
yeah. And you were going through like a case study with me, now, like just shooting off all these questions at me, and what specifically digestive, you were like, do you have any of these symptoms? And we were going through them, like, yeah, I'm always bloated, I'm always constipated. I remember telling you, like, but I specifically, my words were, but it's normal for me. And I remember you being like, hold the phone. This is not normal. And I was like, the longest time I've always been bloated. I've always been gassy. I've always had severe constipation. Totally normal for me. And no issues there. I have no gut issues. Everything's working fine. You opened my eyes that day.
I really did. And that's the thing, right? Is in our society, these symptoms like chronic bloat are so common. And if there's one thing that I hate on social media that like grinds my gears to the inside is when you have these influencers being like, let's normalize bloat. Having bloat is normal. It's fine to have bloat. It's not normal. You should not be bloated all day long. You should not be bloated after you eat. Yes, it is common, but this is a sign that your digestive system isn't working in the way that it should. And another thing to consider is, are you dealing with constipation? Because if you got all of that poop backed up, you're not going to be feeling too hot in the bloat department either. So there's a number of things that really have to be considered in order to figure out how you want to properly fix the chronic bloat. So it's not as easy as being like, excuse me, oh, go and take this de-bloat supplement. You really need to be looking at that underlying imbalance and then properly tailor a protocol to fix it.
Awesome. That is a super important topic. Okay. Going to give another one to Katie because this totally relates to you. So recently being diagnosed with celiac, what do you suggest to help repair the gut?
Well, first and foremost, 1000%, you have to be off gluten for the rest of your life. It is not a negotiable. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to have this one bite. Like I'm just going to get pizza when I go out with my friends. Nope. Hard. Nope. Unfortunately, being an autoimmune disease, this is something that you're going to have to deal with for life. And I say this being celiac myself. Chris has Hashimoto's, so she has her thyroid autoimmune. You need to immediately get rid of gluten. And I completely appreciate how difficult that is, formerly being a person that only ate gluten. So really, removing the gluten from your life and finding those healthy substitutions. And remember, it's not just about, oh, I can go and eat all these cupcakes because they're gluten-free. They could still be inflammatory with, the refined sugar, the refined vegetable oils. Another thing that you should consider if you are celiac is removing corn from your diet. Because what's really interesting is the body, because the gluten protein is so similar to the protein in corn, your body can actually mistake the corn for gluten and it can have those same impacts. So really making sure you're also corn-free can go a really big way into help loving up the gut. So once we've removed those foods, then we also need to really be loving up the gut with those anti-inflammatory foods. So in the show notes, we'll put the link to the best diet for acne. So that way you can see the foods to really be focusing on and then those foods to be minimizing, because it's those pro-inflammatory foods like the refined vegetable oils, the refined sugars, which are going to be further irritating your gut. So we really want to be loving that up with some gut-loving foods. Maybe consider things like bone broth if you tolerate it, or if you consume animal proteins, that can be really wonderful. And then we definitely want to be having, some type of probiotic that works for you, some digestive support to make sure you're really breaking your foods down. And if you're wondering about that, go and download our gut-loving cheat sheet in the show notes, because it lists out some of Chris and I's favorite kind of foundational starter options for those as well. Chris, is there anything that you'd want to add in there for some initial gut repair for a recently diagnosed celiac?
I think you got it.
I got it.
I say if you have it, you've got it. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, we got problems.
Yeah. Of course, you can start digging into, okay, well, if you're celiac, you might be having malabsorption of certain nutrients like your B vitamins or whatever it may be.
It's not even might. I'm going to go hardcore. You do.
I was trying to be nice about it, but
I know, but we can't be. No, because, celiac. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I do have something to add because it's a geeky.
I knew she did.
And I like it. Okay, so in our intestinal cavity, we have microvilli, which are a whole bunch of finger-like projections, and they're supposed to flow and do all that, and that's how they collect the nutrients. Boom, it goes into the lacteals, it goes into the blood, boom, and we get our nutrients. However, the difference, if you look under a microscope, it kind of looks like coral, right? And if you look really deep, it looks like finger-like projections. Fast forward celiac, it looks like an octopus. The way the octopus, it's very smooth. So if those projections aren't, free flowing and open, how are you absorbing? So that's why I can really 110% drive in here with all my geek-like information to say, if something is smooth and something is covered, just like closing your fist, How are you going to receive the ball that somebody's throwing to you when the fist is already closed? Fair?
Fair.
My final answer.
All right, next up. Last question for digestion.
Yes, last question. Okay, Katie, how often to rotate probiotics?
Why does she get the easy one? I would just.
I'll let you answer it. You can
No,
answer it.
I don't want to.
You do.
I think Katie, did you one payoff Paige? And Paige, are you collecting any retribution from Katie for these questions?
I'll let you
No
take
comment.
the probiotic. I feel like Paige could answer the probiotic one, but that's okay.
Let's let her try. No?
Oh, Paige, you want to answer the probiotic?
I'll try, but you guys are gonna probably.
This is good.
From what I do, and I'm just gonna probably learn that I'm doing things incorrectly. I rotate every time I purchase a new bottle. So I have like my top 3 or 4 that I order, and every new bottle I just rotate just to get all the different what's it called?
Strains.
Yes, the different strains.
Paige,
So
you're learning.
There we go. So am I right here?
Pretty close. So generally we recommend like every 2 to 3-ish months, you would say, Chris, that we get them to rotate probiotics, unless there's a specific reason why they need to be on a certain strain for a longer time.
Yeah, even up to 4. And again, it depends on what they're working on, for sure.
I would say for general maintenance, like
general maintenance once a quarter. So
yeah.
4, and you can recycle them. So what you took first quarter, you can take, say, again in last quarter, but then when you go back to first quarter, hello, new bottle, right? It just goes in rotation.
And it's really about getting different strains of probiotics, right? Because if you're just taking the same 3 strains, you're never going to get that diverse microbiome. So that's, again, where you can be picking up and looking at the backs of your probiotics and like just reading through. And it's like, okay, does this one have a couple different strains? Like you will most likely see like a lactobacillus acidophilus or bifidobacterium quite often in most strains. So don't panic if there's a couple similar strains. Just kind of get some rotation in there and rotate through that. So, all right, next.
Amazing. Well, we're going to go into some hormone-based questions, and I'm going to start off with Chris.
First me and my big mouth.
First one is, I'd like to know about the menstrual phases, luteal, ovulation, follicular. I can never say that. Follicular. Thank you. And how they affect period pain.
Awesome. So it's going to be codependent on obviously all the hormones working together. And really, this is where we want to look at that estrogen. I like to look at estrogen here. What's it doing? Are we in estrogen dominance? Is progesterone revving up like it's supposed to? These types of things. However, even better outside of hormones. Even better. I know hormones play a factor. When we tend to get, essentially what they're saying is like PMS, right? So the cramping, the pains, whatever it is. What do we tend to do as a society? We take an over-the-counter to repress the symptoms. However, what if I said things like Advil? What's the other one that starts with A? Aleve?
Yeah, any of the NSAIDs, the Aleve, the Motrin, the Advil, those types of ones.
So they have been researched to suppress ovulation, and subsequently we have to watch that because that can then suppress progesterone. So is it what we're doing to create the cramps because we just can't deal with it? Or is it that we're not taught this, right? Like it's an indirect. So watch what you're ingesting to negate that. What I would say is look at like castor oil packs, look at raspberry leaf tea. I mean, just read the label, make sure you can. But those things are a little bit better. Work out a little bit if you're getting it. So I don't want to go right directly into hormones because we'll do podcasts. So, we have little bits.
We have an estrogen dominance podcast coming up, and I think in 3 more podcasts.
Yeah. So that's where I think we should tackle that a little bit more because this is kind of what I'm seeing it roll up under here, Katie, unless you feel there's something specific you want. I mean, because of course we're going to be looking at the pill. We're going to be looking at pharmaceuticals. If your doctor has you on something like that, that's going to drive up these. So what we're doing is masking the symptom, unfortunately, but perpetuating the ongoing issues with the hormone cycles.
And the thing with our hormones, right, is, I should say with cramping, it's not normal to have cramping
No.
Like horrible cramping throughout your cycle. Sometimes some women may experience a little bit of cramping around ovulation when the egg gets released, around that like day 14 window, depending how long your cycle is. So if you're having a lot of cramping midway through your cycle, it could just be that ovulation pain. And then if you're starting to get a little crampy a few days before your period, and then like the first few days of your period, you're like on the floor, this is horrendous. Remember, this is not normal. We should not be having horrible period cramps. And one of my favorite things, is when we have our clients pop into our client community and say, oh my gosh, I got my period this month and I didn't even know it was coming because I had no cramps. Like, Chris, don't you just love when you see that?
All the time. The other little nugget, and it's masked, is if we do have estrogen dominant and we do have stubborn weight, what happens is they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get any cramps. And by the way, I wasn't going for it, but I've lost 10 pounds over the course of 5 months. And I'm like, hello, estrogen. We knew you were there. I do. I talk to them like that. I'm like, hello, estrogen.
And that's the thing is estrogen and progesterone are really the ones we want to be looking at for the cramping. So remember, like things like getting enough fiber in your day, starting at that 25 grams per day, getting up to the 45 grams, really working on lowering the just general inflammation in your body is going to be really, really helpful. Your stress, of course, is going to be really good. Even things like blood sugar, that's not often talked about, but making sure you have that balanced blood sugar is going to be really, really important as well. And if you are constipation will be very common. But if you are someone who's really struggling with cramps, that's where looking at some magnesium glycinate can be really, really helpful at bedtime.
Yeah, nice and calming. Again, that castor oil, the raspberry leaf. I love castor oil packs. Please take out your sugar. Here's the thing. As you drive into that luteal phase, you're like, I want sugar. I want chocolate. You do it because guess what? I still do it. And hello. So boast up your phytoprogesterones. Really mean is that sweet potato, the dark chocolate. Go search it. Phytoestrogens. We want to get the sweet carbohydrates, the sweet fibers in there. We don't want the refined sugars. Put those in there. You're going to see that can even balance the mood stability that comes with PMS. Mm-hmm. I mean, not in my house, of course, but everybody else's house.
All right, next up in the hormones.
Okay, this is a pretty big question. I'll give it to Chris again, but this is a big question because
I feel like I'm going to just start stressing, like rapid fire.
I feel like this is a full podcast, but I'd like to know more about hormones in the body and its functions, or at least some of the main ones. So it's a pretty beefed out question there.
Oh,
I would just let's do a really quick overview of the key hormones to know about, because I know that Chris is like, but there's dozens and dozens.
I mean, you can't do that to my brain. Long story short, let me see if I can nail this. Progesterone is the mother lode of all hormones. Of course, there's 50 plus hormones. So I'm assuming we're just talking sex hormones in here. So progesterone, it has a little umbrella and it says, hey, come produce progesterone. Hey, oh my gosh, let's go and hang out with the androgens. So if we're really stressed, we can steal it's called progesterone steal, and we can drive up our androgenic symptoms. So what does testosterone does? I'm not allowed to say my correlation to ovulation and testosterone because Katie doesn't like the words horny gut. You can't say horny gut at all. No horny goat
no horny
at
goat.
all. Okay, so we can't. But it drives up that testosterone, wound healing, taste, smell. Balances out. So I have a little thing. No zinc, no dink, no zinc, no think.
Zinc
and what is
zinc.
That? And we need, right? That just doesn't look for women. But think about it. No zinc for dink, but we need some testosterone for that same pattern. Progesterone is calming. If we're in the right, so you have an alpha and a beta. So progesterone is calming. So, we should be, as we're coming up to our menses, we should be nice and calm and regulated, ready to receive baby. And yet usually people stand in PMS, which is most often estrogen dominance. Hop into estrogen. There's 3 types. Please hang in. We will definitely cover this. But we need it regulated. We need it methylated. Your estrogen. You're here for skin. You want that glow? Come to the estrogen dominance podcast. Outside of that, what else do we want to add in there? Because I know it's a rapid fire.
I think that's good. Like we still got like 15 questions to go through. So we gotta.
That is the only way I can really digress that.
All right, next
in
up.
small bits.
Okay. It's a pretty big question.
It's huge.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the last hormone question, Katie, for you, I had my hormonal IUD in for 5 years and just had it removed. What can I expect?
It's going to be a hair different for each person depending how their body obviously handles it. But generally speaking, we see hormonal imbalances because if you've been on a hormonal contraceptive, it's going to be impacting your hormones in one way or the other. So we can be seeing some bigger hormonal imbalances. We will be seeing some implications with our liver. We are going to be seeing kind of a few things that we work on. Generally, whether we have clients that come off the IUD or they come off the birth control pill, we really need to we kind of take this a similar approach. We're really loving up that gut. We're really working to detoxify the body because we need to get these excess hormones excreted. And once your gut and your liver in a really good spot, we can really start to dig more into those hormonal imbalances. Like maybe you're dealing with that estrogen dominance. Some other things that you could be expecting as it comes out would be just those general hormone imbalance symptoms. So maybe you're having a missing period, maybe you're having spotting, they're irregular, maybe they're more painful, maybe you have heavy cramping, maybe you're dealing with more PMS, maybe you're feeling moody and you're like, oh my God, stop listing them out, Katie. You could just, it'll depend on how your body handles it and which of those hormonal imbalance symptoms that'll be popping up. So this is where we really want to be actively working to support the gut, the detox organs, and the hormones. Chris, anything?
I like.
She likes.
You are like rhyming stuff off like nobody's business today. Like you are primed.
It's almost like I do this for a living.
How many matchas?
I've only had one.
I have to ask.
I've only had one, and
really?
I kind of want to have two.
Okay. Well, you're on a just hang with this high because I think you're doing fantastic.
It's Friday. Well, we record on Fridays, but it's Friday. I might live a little. I might have a second matcha at 1 p.m. We'll see where the day takes us.
I am turning
this
off
week.
my
I've
phone.
had 2 every day, so
That's where Paige is at.
that's where I'm at this.
Oh,
Friday.
come on,
I had
guys.
3.
You too. Like our lovely audience here is going to think I'm a slave driver with how you two speak about all the caffeine that you need to get through your day.
Would we like to confirm nor deny?
No comment.
Yeah, both of you better be having a no comment up in here. Let's just say. I will drive to your houses with my second matcha.
I'm not doing it. I'm not drinking your battery acid.
Chris, I told you, I think the issue is you've never had a good matcha. You've only had crappy quality
Then
matcha.
let's go.
We need to
Get
make
over
the one.
here.
I'm making
Get
it when I
over
come
here.
to your house for a lovely dinner with your sweet
I'm
daughters.
not drinking one late at night. You're trying to kill me, sweet.
No, I'm
daughters.
going to come.
Okay.
I'll come to your house at like 10 a.m. It'll be a fun-filled day. Family day. Family fun day, as they say on Jersey Shore.
Okay. Well,
All right.
We'll go shopping. We'll leave the boys home with the
yes.
kids.
Ooh.
Okay, we're digressing again. Chris, this
Okay.
is what you've been waiting weeks
Yes.
for. Is the testing
Oh.
section. I'm gonna drink my smoothie in the background while Chris answers these 3 testing questions. I might as well
Got some
just
good
mute.
ones for you.
I'm gonna mute myself actually.
You can even nap, right? I do that in some podcasts. Katie just goes, takes it, drives the car all the way to
Bye,
Montreal and
everybody.
back,
Have
and
a great
I wake up.
Have a great day listening to Chris.
Okay, go.
Okay, first
ready.
one, Chris. Window needed
Yeah.
for an accurate HTMA postpartum/breastfeeding. Great question.
I love it. Let's just do HTMA whenever. Love it. It's different. This is why. Inside your blood, you have all these surging hormones and things are like wonky donkey. And you know what? You're not going to get a doctor probably running a 4 hormone panel postpartum breastfeeding. They're going to wait solidly till you're done breastfeeding by at least 4 months. From what I'm gathering from other clients, they won't touch it, including your thyroid, FYI. However, when it comes to the HTMA, remember this is cellular level. So regardless, I want to see where minerals are, right? Because why wouldn't we want to see these minerals, which are through foods, and that's how we look at it. So what minerals can we offer to a client to boost up those nutrients to get that vitamin rotation? Regardless, if you are breastfeeding, you are giving those nutrients to your child. And I think you might need some yourself too. So remember, an HTMA is cellular level. So it is a 3-month synopsis of what's going in the body. So if things aren't looking too happy and dappy, then let's get some foods in there.
Great. Okay. Chris. My doctor
I feel like
said,
you're almost ready to talk dirty to me. I was getting excited there for a second. No? Either that or it's a whomping question.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can be the judge of it, okay? My doctor said that the HTMA test is not accurate. Can you please explain this more and why your team uses it? You tell me, was that dirty enough?
She's about to have heart palpitations if she isn't already. Breathe, Chris, breathe.
And nobody can see that I am breathing really deep.
Well,
and
we actually also record these on video for YouTube, so they can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Why do you always cut off my head? I just want to know.
I'm not the editor.
Yeah, Chris. No, I'm kidding. I'm fine with it.
It's the way you have your headspace, Chris. You need to have better headroom.
You like?
Not quite. We'll work on it. We'll work
All
on
right.
it. I'll set up
So,
some stuff.
I always, in my head, first of, has your doctor been trained in HMA? I say HMA is short because I usually whop out the T, but the HTMA or HMA interconnected.
Same thing.
Right? Has your doctor been trained on it? Why do they feel that it is not accurate? What do they feel that could be replacement for it? And why I'm asking that, it's not to be combative, is because you're going to be very surprised that your doctor has no clue. So I really want to be taking advice from somebody that's no clue. I don't go to the window and blind shop to get my Cadillac converter changed. Why do people do that? Why do we not compare apples to apples? So at the end of the day, what I say is, I'm very sorry that your doctor feels this way. However, let me tell you what it can do. Cellular level, again, not in blood, not just what's circulating. 3-month synopsis, so we know how the body is responding. Stress-like response, how it's using its minerals or not using it. Could you be calorically deprived? All of these things that our ND is absolutely going to rock out and see right off the bat. So we know how to get in nutritionally. By the way, when's the last time anybody has ever asked you to do a heavy metal test?
Rare.
So before people want to go and push and prod your hormones, push and prod your liver, push and prod your endocrine system, if you have mercury and lead, what do you think it's going to do to the liver? And what do you think that's going to do if you're also constipated? So I ask your doctor, when you go in and you say, I have hormone dysregulation and, my menses and my acne and everything, do they run your tests? Do they run a complete panel? And do they ever ask you about what you're eating and if you're having a poop? Because estrogen dominance is codependent on that.
Can I add one thing on this that I want to say about the accuracy of the HTMA? If the HTMA is
I was just taking a breather. I could go all day, but you just
let me add. If the HTMA isn't accurate, how do our clients get the results that they get? And go over to our website, katiestewartwellness.com, click on the Clear Skin Solution and look at, I think we have 50 before and afters that have all used an HTMA to clear up their acne. So I think the proof is in the pudding when you see what can be done by utilizing a hair trace mineral. Because in that same realm, if a person's been going to their doctor for years and years and years and years, and they've still been dealing with acne over a 20-year period, and then you utilize an HTMA correctly, and then voila, 6 to 12 months later, their skin's cleared. Can I drop my mic?
Exactly. Oh, well, drop it right after this. Just remember.
Man. I'll hold on to the mic a little longer.
Not too long if it's from the dollar store. Okay.
Not too long.
So mineral imbalances, they indicate a metabolic dysfunction, intercellular, deep.
I can't even minerals just alone are so important for your body.
Remember, that had to happen first before any physical symptoms have manifested. So this has not been a sort of, kind of, did I just start? No, it's showing you that, hello, these body systems aren't talking. Hello, get these body systems. Hello, here's the triggers. And hello, here's your clear skin.
100%. And
Yeah.
really, to summarize this question, is it comes down to the doctors just not educated in this subject. They're extremely well-educated individuals. Absolutely. They've gone to school. They,
Yeah.
they know a lot about pharmaceuticals. They can perform life-saving surgeries. I love Western medicine for that. If I have I'm in a car accident, my leg's hanging off, I am praying that I get the best surgeon out there to come and sew my leg back on. I know Chris hates when I do that.
I do. Why? Like, she does it
I
for
know.
shock value. I swear to God.
Well, but that's like Western medicine is absolutely life-saving. Like, I'm so grateful to live in Canada and have access to this. I'm so thankful for these doctors. They're incredible. And at the same time, they're not educated in functional labs. They haven't, done years and years and years of research and studying on hair trace minerals, on GI maps, on Dutch tests, on all of these things. Unfortunately, I hope to God that one day we finally see that symmetry and that cross connection between Western medicine using these functional labs. And you'll be seeing this more and more, like, with functional medicine doctors. These are medical doctors that now take a functional approach and they use hair trace minerals in their practice. It really comes down to they just haven't been educated in this realm yet.
And just to add on that, when I'm teaching, I have a whole section on minerals and a whole section on vitamins that I teach to potential registered holistic nutritionists. Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be whole sections. There wouldn't be several chapters if they weren't vital. So one of my inner geeks, even let's take the HTMA aside, one of my inner geeks is I dive into the minerals. Like, you bring me a mineral, I'm going to tell you what it does. I'm going to tell you the potential diseases it can do. I'm going to tell you the enzymatic reactions it can have. Why? Because that's just the inner geek. But I've spent years to learn that. So once you know what minerals do, then you've got the forefront of what's happening inside the body.
I think we could have a whole episode. We got to move on, or else we're going to be here all day.
I think you guys should definitely do a full episode there. But I have one last testing, but more mineral based question for Chris, because she just ended off that way. So my iron is normal, but my ferritin
iron.
That's what I said.
Oh,
I said my iron.
Oh, I thought you said something different. I don't know.
No?
Forget about it. Next.
Okay. My iron was normal. My iron is normal, but ferritin is super low. Any tips?
Yeah, ferritin is the usable iron source. So one, are you exercising? Are you getting flow in amongst, right? Iron is carried through the blood. Two, this is, since we just talked about the HTMA, you might want to hop in and get yourself an HTMA, see where your copper is, because copper is a transportation unit. Are you consuming it? And do you have enough hydrochloric acid and or absorption in order to even get that iron in? Because that happens way at the very last part of where the small and the large intestine go. So if you have constipation, if you gut issues, whatever, you better believe ferritin's going to be low. So before you run and grab an iron supplement, please check it out, because you could be compounding oxidative stress and you have a menses, so there's no reason for us to have high iron.
Boom.
Okay.
Next.
All testing questions done. Check. Okay. I'm going to go into skincare, which is totally Katie's wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Her favorite.
I've been waiting for this. I'm excited.
This is why she's like, hurry up, pass the testing. We already know it's amazing. Get the skincare.
Okay. Well, first question is, what are the best drugstore skincare brands?
So I've seen this question a few times, and I always answer it like this, is there really aren't any drugstore, like we live in Canada, so Shoppers Drug Mart's like the place to go. There really aren't any drugstore brands that I've seen, and I haven't, to be honest, I haven't been in there recently, but I can't say there's a single drugstore brand I recommend, because this is where a lot of the endocrine disruptors, the fragrances, the carcinogens, the, harsh ingredients are going to be hiding out. However, if you are looking for an economical, like a cheaper, cost-effective option, you could be looking at something like the Inkey list that you can get at Sephora. Like, their products range from like $5 to $20. Like, they're very, very cost-effective, and they are on the cleaner side of the spectrum. And they have like some really wonderful options. Like our esthetician Ashley, she was on the podcast on episode 11, and she talked about on the INCI list, she really likes their bioactive ceramide repair. Was it a repair serum? I'm pretty sure. She really likes the INCI list's omega water cream. So they can be a little more cost effective. Even things like the Ordinary at Sephora will, again, be a cleaner and more cost effective. I know Ashley really likes their squalene oil from the Ordinary as well. So, just thinking outside the box a little bit. And then there's a great Canadian company called 3 Ships. They, their items are priced between $20 to $50. So if you have that in your budget, 3 Ships can be a really wonderful skincare brand to look at. That would be more a little budget conscious.
Awesome. I'm actually personally loving all of the 3 Ships products. They have some great stuff.
They have some great stuff. Yeah.
Okay, number 2, Katie. So skincare brands that we recommend. I've heard a lot about ClearStem.
Yeah, ClearStem's great. We do recommend a number of their products to our clients. They make a great SPF. The UR Sunshine SPF is really lovely. I think, was it called Cell Renew Serum? Like, they have some really great things. They're nice and clean, and they can be really effective. Some other brands that we recommend, like you just heard, we do love some 3 Ships. I know the Blueberry Repair Serum from 3 Ships is one of Ashley's favorites. Like, I hear her recommend it quite often. Living Libations makes a really nice cleansing oil. Again, for the more budget conscious, we would be looking at the INCI list or the Ordinary. There's some great beauty counter products that I love. I really love their Albright C serum, their cleansing oil or cleansing balm, because if you're someone that wears makeup, using a cleansing oil or balm can be really great for helping to break down the oil and dirt and bacteria and makeup on your skin before you use a regular cleanser. And then we could also be looking at, we have some clients that really like Juice Beauty. I'm trying to think of what other ones that we recommend quite often. Again, you could be getting into the more medical skincare lines, like the clinical. So when you're looking at those clinical skincare lines, they are going to be a little bit more expensive because you're really paying for the science behind the skincare, right? For the encapsulation and delivery systems. And I know some brands that Ashley really loves is like a cosmetics or an osmosis. These can be a little better. You will see some recommendation for is clinical. So it really just, I would say those are some of the more common brands that we would be recommending there. I think I covered most of them.
And I feel like if you're ever, and sometimes I find when I'm looking at new products, if I'm ever unsure, I just bring up the EWG database and I plug everything through there just to see what.
And I want to give the EWG an asterisk because it's the Skin Deep database is awesome. And you have to still be good at reading your labels, because we'll often have people saying, hey, Katie, I looked this product up and I saw that it actually rates a 4 on the EWG. What's the reasoning behind here? So the EWG will oftentimes they don't isolate the amounts of the ingredient in that specific product. So if there's an ingredient that could be considered more irritating, like a specific essential oil, let's say, that was utilized in the product, in higher amounts, it's going to be quite irritating to the skin. So it's going to give a higher rating on the EWG. But in reality, the way it's been formulated in the product will be much lesser, or there's other ingredients in there that helps with that, proper distribution and proper formulation. So that's where I really love utilizing that resource. And I like being able to read which ingredients are in there and realizing that you have to sometimes take it with a grain of salt, because it could just be that it's not in that same amount that the EWG is looking at. Did that make sense? Did I explain that okay?
Yeah, I think that was good.
Awesome. Next.
Okay, last skincare questions about pimple patches. Can you overuse them?
I love a good pimple patch. Even though I don't get acne anymore, I'll still get the odd pimple here and there if I'm stressed or, I don't take my makeup off well. And I'm definitely throwing a pimple patch on. I really like them because they protect the pimple. So one, you're less likely to pick and pop because there's an actual physical barrier. So it's going to be less scarring, and it's going to be really good for helping to draw all of that fluid out. So remember, pimple patches are for surface level. They don't really work well for cystic acne. So if you have a surface level, it's going to help draw that fluid out, which will help reduce the inflammation, help reduce the pain, and prevent that picking. So nope, you can't overuse them. Generally, if I'm using one, I'll put one on before bed. And then if I'm at home, I'm not doing, any Zoom calls, I'll just change it and put a new one on. But no, you can't overuse them. They're really great for helping to even protect bacteria from getting in. So if you're going about your day, you can still be getting bacteria, which could be inflaming and worsening that pimple as it is. So no, I think they're a great little thing to have. And if you're wondering which brand, one I've been using quite recently is I think it's pronounced Real or Rael. It's Rael. They make a good pimple patch. There's lots out there, but that's the one I've been using lately.
Awesome. Okay, on to the next, our other category. So there's a lot of different questions in here. I'll start with Chris. Can a calcium shell affect acne?
For sure. And for people that don't understand what a calcium shell is, it's going to be a very high level number on the HTMA under the calcium category. So there's some pioneers. And so Paul Eck, Carl Pfeiffer, Rick Malter, they really go into this if you want to geek out and grab yourself some more information. However, what it is if we look at a calcium shell, it's really that fight or flight like stance. It's a person that even may have a disposition where they're always on guard, resentful, fear, shame, guilt, or other emotions that can really perpetuate this. Again, it's going to depend on the level. So if somebody does have an HTMA that they ran before, or they're a naturopath and they're looking at it and they're like, oh my gosh, it's in red and it's 3 points over, not quite. So please go back to your ND or your doctor and get more information. So what happens is it's like a trauma-like response. So if somebody has a trauma in their past, sometimes we can see it with children of an alcoholic parent, right? Like genetically minerally deficient, and I'm just using different things. Or what about even a child? Because it stems back to that. It can, a home with instability. So I know from a fact is when I started getting these done for myself through my naturopath, holy Hannah banana, my calcium was through the roof. Work on it, work on it, work on it. Why isn't it coming down? Why isn't it coming down? Because I really refused to do all the emotional work because it was just uncomfortable. Essentially, when we're in a defensive state, when we don't feel valued, maybe we become very secretive because we can't trust people around us these times. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, all of that fight or flight, so you know what I mean, like guns a-blazing, like rage, or you know what, just totally stressed out to the max, that is going to play havoc on our stress, on our adrenals, on our body system. And that's how it interconnects with the acne, because I have yet to see anybody with acne that doesn't have some kind of issue or unresolved issue with their stress or stress-like response. It's kind of a long way around, but I mean, this is my jam. This is my jam.
She got it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, for you, Katie, EBV and how it affects acne and ways to help clear it.
So this is a massive topic. We are actually going to be doing a podcast later on the season on that. And I'm actually hoping to, because I should preface this, I riddled with Epstein-Barr. I discovered this in early 2023, absolutely riddled with it. That I had probably had it for a couple decades, and I most likely got it from my high school boyfriend when he had mono. Because Epstein-Barr, what it is it's a herpes simplex virus, and it's related to mono and, you know, the kissing disease. So it's shared by saliva, and this is how we be getting Epstein-Barr without knowing it. And it can actually be living dormant in our bodies, which is what happened in my case. My boyfriend in high school had mono, so that's most likely how I got the Epstein-Barr virus. Thanks, Dave. And 20 years later, I now have a reactivated Epstein-Barr, and a reactivation occurs generally when like a psychological or physical trauma occurs. And in my case, it was my 2 late pregnancy losses, and it kind of just takes over the host system because the defenses are down. So like I said, it can live dormant in the body. And really what it does, right, Chris, is it finds a host it finds a little fun little host, a little house that it likes to hang out in, and it kind of hangs out in that organ.
Yeah, so I have EBV and mine is my thyroid. In fact, mine goes between my thyroid and my spleen. So when I'm hooked up to all my ND's fancy dancy machines, what happens is he's like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic, your thyroid. And it's been a while. And then I'll be like, what's going on with your spleen? God, my digestion goes off, all of these things. It can move. Remember, it is not static. It is not going to stay. So it can move. It can find different hosts. And essentially, I mean, it's not just, they call it the kissing, but I was 8 and I got it from a dirty lake, swimming in a dirty lake. But, you know, some things you're going to see are herpes simplex, HSV1, HSV2. You're
Cold
going
sores.
to see, yeah,
I
absolutely.
had cold sores. That was my biggest symptom. I had that throughout my 20 years.
I usually, you know, I'm just giving trends here. Chicken pox, shingles. These are the things we want to start. Staph or strep infections, ongoing repetitively. It is. So when we say massive, this is like a 17-part series podcast.
And really, if we could summarize it really quick, is Epstein-Barr impacts acne. Like Epstein-Barr is going to be impacting your immune system. Your immune system is going to be implicated into acne. So this is kind of that correlation between the two. Very brief overview. There's lots of interconnections there that can be at play. So when it comes to helping clear it,
another 17
part podcast.
It depends on exactly the strain, the amounts, and everything. So I know where you're going to go with this. It's just, we're
open a can of worms with this.
Go with caution. Yeah.
Of course, there's things we can be doing like immune support. Maybe you can be looking at things like tinctures that can be going after the Epstein-Barr. That's going to be a bit longer of a process because it depends, like how long have you had this for? What's the levels? And you can find out if you've had Epstein-Barr through a blood draw. You know, the one I've done 2 different ones, and they're generally European blood draws. So they're not cheap. This isn't like you're going to your doctor and they're going to ask for it. Usually a functional doctor needs to do this. A common one that's utilized is called Prime Spot, and it's going to be like a few $1,000s to unfortunately get tested to see if you have Epstein-Barr and the levels that it's at. And then depending on the levels, how long it's been there, different things might need to happen. In my case, being so riddled with it, I had to go into very intensive treatment of IV ozone 10 pass, where I've done like well over 20 sessions of this through my functional doctor over the course of 5 or 6 months. Also maybe like for me, because I'm so riddled with it, I have been going through SOT therapy, where it's, like there's so many conditions. But if you're dealing with, say, acne that's being impacted by Epstein-Barr, Chris, what would you say would be some like general things before you have to go down to this rabbit hole I've been in?
See, I keep going to say something, it keeps suppressing, and then I keep, you know what I mean? So,
it's because it's such a big topic.
Because what I'm going to say is, please don't go to the bookstore and buy a book that says we're going to eradicate the EBV and this is your EBV and this is how you do it and you can only eat this and you can only do that. You have to work with a professional.
Do not do this.
I just want to say your acne is like your goal, but as a nutritionist, as a functional doctor, that EBV is a focus. Right? Yeah. So we don't get into that directly, but what we can do is give you some good, loving immune support. Because again, if you have an autoimmune, which tends to follow EBV, guess what happens? Can't stimulate the immune system. So just please be so super careful with this. So super careful.
All right, next. We got 3 questions left in 10 minutes to do it.
Amazing. Okay, Chris,
so
this
it must be me then, because she's giving me a prefix. I get it. See, I get the TV personality now.
Now you got 9 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got 9 minutes. Okay, Chris. So dental health. We're going into dental health versus inflammation and acne.
Yeah.
And to support your body when you need.
No, how to support your body when you need it. Paige is getting a little dyslexic on us today.
Okay, so dental health, a couple different things. Absolutely. Every single one of your teeth are interconnected to an operating in a body organ system, therefore through traditional Chinese medicine. I love it, right? So I have 2 dental implants. One was a misfortunate snowboarding incident. This is why I need to move to the tropics, because I'm never going on that damn thing again. And I didn't want a root canal. I didn't know much, but I knew I didn't want a root canal. Here's the thing with a root canal. You get a root canal, it is a dead nerve. You can't feel pain. You can't feel infection like we normally do. So it can just house a lovely, beautiful, just think of about a pus-filled cystic acne deep into your tooth, if you like visuals. Paige is not digging my visual here.
Regretting
Paige is like, fuck it now. Aren't you used to me by now? Anyways, can't talk because I'm on my time limit. So long story short is please just know that every single tooth is absolutely interconnected with the body system. If you have TMJ, watch your anxiety. If you have a white tongue, watch your candida-like levels, your gut dysbiosis, your yeast, right? Do you have raging UTIs and yeast infections that could be counter interconnected? This is all acne related, by the way, because if you have them, you probably also have your acne. Outside of that, not a fan of root canals. I think I was very, very expressive on that. So not like I'm saying go get implants because they're a gazillion pounds of like dollars. However, just know what you're doing. Know why the tooth has to come out. Know why they're trying to get a tooth in. And how we're going to support our body is we can oil pull. We can tongue scrape. We can, I really love me some bentonite clay, some baking soda on my toothbrush with a little dab of tea tree oil. I'm killing everything. I'm polishing. I'm killing. I'm not fluoriding, right? Oh, by the way, floss your teeth. I used to hate doing that. Now I love it. So if you have any inflammation up in your gums, also watch the connection with the rest of the body because I'll tell you, not good. I eat chips. I eat chips.
Yeah, we know, Chris. I think you bring this up every episode.
But I'm going to tell you what happens, and then my gums inflame the next day. Body
floss.
says no, thank you. Okay, next. I think you did good with time there.
You did.
Okay, I'll give you another one, Chris, because
she deals with this day in and day out with the clients.
Okay.
Yeah. What is a histamine intolerance? Can anything be done about it?
Well, if you can see me, it's kind of clever. Because I ate a little square of chocolate, and chocolate is a histamine reaction to me. It's dark chocolate. And if you can see my face, it is glaring red, which is cool. I'm wearing red, so you can see it even more predominant than any other color. This is what we look for when we do our stuff, our magic behind the scenes. So histamine intolerance is when your body, your immune system becomes very vigilant anti. Now, we need histamine intolerance for various responses inside the body. However, we don't need it to kind of combat all the nourishing foods that should be okay to our body. So how does it show up? Glaring red, hot cheeks. This is not rosacea. This is my chocolate. Why did I do it?
Because it was delicious.
To show you. Well, it was delicious and somebody stole the chips. So the other thing is we're going to have a histamine episode and there's going to be an expert come in, Tracy Reed. So she's the author of Histamine Haven. I think
one of the co-authors.
Co-authors. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I am not going to steal her thunder. I'm going to let her do that. But just know when we have an intolerance, that can affect things like estrogen. It can infect the way our blood flows so we can get headaches. We can get allergies. Oh, you see it all the time with me. I'm like constantly I'm moving my nose because it's an allergy-like response. So welcome to my life of autoimmune. I'm going to tell you, you have an autoimmune, you have a histamine response.
Right. And then when I was dealing with my Epstein-Barr, working through histamine issues was something I had to do in conjunction with my immune system. So you can see how things are also super related. And when we're dealing with a histamine intolerance, it's just really how our body is reacting to the foods and histamines, but also foods that actually can provoke a histamine response in the body. And yes, something can absolutely be done about it. And that's why we're having Tracy Reed, one of the co-authors of Histamine Haven. Her episode's going to air about the end of June. I believe it's June 26th. So we have to come back for that. But really, like for our clients that are dealing with big histamine issues, we generally will put them through some type of histamine protocol where we're reducing the histamine foods that we're having, that load on the body to give some time to get some breathing room in there. And I've done it myself. I will preface it. It is not fun. My least favorite thing I've ever done, but it worked really well.
And there's different histamines for different people. So again,
it's not a one size fits all.
I know.
I wish it was, right? It would make our lives so much easier on our podcast. Like, oh, you just got to do this.
We would not have a job. We would not have a job, right?
There'd be no job because it's so confusing.
No job for us.
Last question. Okay. We're at 57 minutes.
Okay, last one's for Katie, and I'm really going to listen to you with this one because I need some tips. Okay, stress management techniques, go.
So as you probably know by now, I am the pot calling the kettle black if we're talking about stress management, because my stress is the one I struggle with the absolute most of life ever. So some things that I really love to do is I find just simple breathing, because when we're in that fight or flight, we take really shallow breaths, like, right? We're not getting our full deep belly breath. And remember, your lungs are kind of quite large, and we breathe into such a small section of our lungs when we're in that fight or flight stress response. So really taking note of breathing right to the top of the lungs, like getting a full breath of air in, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can breathe to the top of my lungs. Yeah, I know. I felt the same way. But getting that deep breath in, putting your hand on your lower belly, making sure you're using that whole diaphragm, making sure you're breathing right down into your belly. So this is where, like, even looking at the yogic breathing can be really helpful. Box breathing, literally just getting oxygen into your body can be stress reducing. I really love something called the emotional freedom technique. The slang term is tapping. There's a great app called the Tapping Solution that has some free things that you can try out. I find for me, that's one of the easiest stress reductions, because it's almost like a guided meditation. I find meditating really difficult for myself. Of course, it's a wonderful stress reduction technique, and it's something that I have to continuously work on to get. Other things would be, having a little dance party. You like to dance, throw on some music. Maybe it could be something as simple as actually getting sleep in the day, going to bed on time, because when you are tired, it's going to be worsening your stress response. Things like getting out in nature, like just like human beings have lived in nature for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it's only been in the last few hundred years where we're now in homes with heating, with cooling, with windows, with doors, with filters, with this. We work inside, we're in our cars. The majority of us spend such little time out in nature, and we actually need this to recalibrate our bodies. So something as simple as grounding, also known as earthing, when you literally just go and put your bare feet in the grass and in the dirt. You lay as much skin down. Now, living here in Canada, that's difficult to do in the cold. So there's things like grounding mats that you can get as well. Petting dogs, like who doesn't get stress reduction from petting dogs? Having a hot bubble bath. It really comes down to what resonates with you. Even getting a little bit of a walk in. Chris, what's your favorite stress management?
Chips.
Emotional eating. I don't think emotional eating would be a good stress reduction technique.
No, and you'll hear me probably, I like music. Music is my jam. However, adversely, my children's music is an aggravating source of nothing. So my music is my final answer.
But Chris, if you love music so much, can you come to the EDM Dance Music Festival that Paige and I are going to in Toronto?
Yeah, join us. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Can you come with us? You'd have so much fun with us. We're fun.
I don't know.
Need to wear a crop top.
Do other people bring their grandparents? I don't know.
Actually, people of all ages are welcome. I've seen like people that are like pushing 80 with canes, dressed up in like crazy outfits. So it's a free for all. You come on with us. Wear the crop top. Get your neon.
Well, I mean, Paige is going to have to hook me up with a hotel because she's on the social committee. So
I am. I could book that. I'll book it right after this.
She booked my hotel. She bought my.
I did.
All right, you let me know. I'm going to go rock it out. Can I wear neon?
It's encouraged. Like 100% you wear neon. I love neon. I got a whole drawer of neon.
Well,
I'll be borrowing some.
I'm doing pink. Somebody else do lime green.
Perfect. Sold. Chris is coming with us. All right. We finished it. 1 hour. Okay. 1 hour, 1 minute. That's fine. All right, everybody. That was another fun-filled episode. Thank you, Paige, for coming and hanging out with us today on the Clear Skin Chronicles. And next week, we're digging into another two-parter, Acne Meds Part 1, the truth about Accutane and birth control. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.